Tony Perkins is, I think, one of the real haters and one of the people who like to reinvent both current events and history.
Yes.
Yeah, and here he is talking, Tony Perkins, with Soledad O'Brien, she of CNN.
I want to ask you a question about sort of what is your big argument against gay marriage? What's the root of your argument?
Well, it's an argument for marriage. It's an argument for marriage. When we look at what the impact that public policy has had on marriage, you know, we don't have to guess about that. We go back to the late 60s with the adoption of no-fault divorce. When the government takes a policy position on marriage, it has an effect.
But when government took a position, let's say, against the ban of interracial marriage, it had an effect too, right? It brought legal marriage to blacks and whites.
Well, you're talking about a redefinition. You're not talking about, I mean, there is no rational reason to keep people of different races that were of opposite sex to marry. They met the qualifications of the definition of marriage. What we're talking about here is a further redefinition.
Yeah, a further redefinition because they've invented what marriage is. I mean, you know, there's no definition of what marriage is. It doesn't exist. It's what has societally been the norm. It doesn't mean that it is where it is written. And they look at the Constitution, they look at the Bible, and they think that they're the same thing.
Well, the Christians being upset about the sanctity of marriage, and of course we've all known the joke, right? Rush Limbaugh came out against it too. He's got to defend the sanctity of marriage, and right. So he's so sacred to him that he did it 4 times.
Right. Exactly.
Right, that's how.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, nobody ever says, well, we've got regular marriage and we've got people getting married and divorced 4 or 5 times. Nobody cares about that. Or, well, we do care. Marriage is in a bad state. We have to prop it up, and we have to prop it up by denying other people who are going to actually be committed.
Right.
We have to deny them the right to be committed and raise healthy families, right. because heterosexuals have proven that they really respect the sanctity of. So that's the thing. That argument is just like all their arguments are just you can drive a truck through them.
And there's so many arguments that come up over these issues all the time. I mean, you know, I'm even talking the progressives right now, and that they're looking for the cynicism in this. They're looking for things that the other motivations around this.
You mean around Barack Obama doing this?
Around Barack Obama doing this.
Okay.
And there are always reasons to be cynical about it. But the point is, if you're a progressive, this is progress. This is what you embrace. And it doesn't matter how you got there, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, if you are the president who did this, that is progress. That the word exists in the word progressive.
Yes.
You know, and so say, yeah, okay, he hasn't done everything on NDAA. He hasn't done everything on Guantanamo and on Afghanistan, and he's been a disappointment in so many places by not going far enough with health care and with the stimulus, et cetera, et cetera. There's a laundry list of reasons to be upset with the presidency of Barack Obama. But when something happens that is progress, that is part of your name, go with it. Go with it and embrace it and be excited about it.
You know, and people are excited because a Fox News anchor said that, you know, the Republicans and Mitt Romney are squarely on the wrong side of history on this one.
Yeah, Shepard Smith said that.
Smith said that. And I'm like, doesn't that bother them that they're going to be on the wrong side of history? Are you kidding me? For the history of their party, they've been on the wrong side of history.
It's
no,
true.
It doesn't bother them.
Right.
They like being on the wrong side of history. And then as soon as history changes, they just pretend they whitewash it now. And I don't know if if you go on Facebook like I do.
I don't. I'm not on Facebook.
I like to do what I call unconstructive arguing.
Right.
On Facebook. And but what they're doing now is they're trying to say, yeah, the Republicans had the Southern strategy, but it was the Democrats who really were the most racist because they were the Dixiecrats. And so they're trying to rewrite history all the time.
Right.
And showing how it was Lincoln who freed the slaves. Somehow they're not the party of the Southern strategy. Yeah. Somehow they're not the party of race baiting, which they still are today.
Yes.
That's what they're trying to as if this stuff that happened before. So I don't know how we got.
They're the party of the birthers today. They're the party.
They're the party of the long form birth certificates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.